starting with just this, continuing the silence for just 1 minute, invoking Mother's presence. Thank you. So, welcome to the Friday Study Circle, and we'll
Good
start.
evening, Tarun.
Good evening. Evening, Thardaji.
Good evening.
Good evening, Captain. Your mic is very loud today. Thank you, Captain. Yeah. So, hi, Sham. Hi, Purva. And we are
Hello.
taking up the sunlit path. Hello, Sham. So, we are taking one passage from the sunlit path every Friday, and then we'll take individual reflections and sharing. So last time we had started on the value of education. We had covered the passage One Dreams of Miracles. And this week we'll be doing the art of living. So I will request anybody who's ready can read the first passage. We can read all of this, the whole thing, if you can see my screen. So if anybody can please unmute and read, that will be great. I can read. So, the art of living. Usually, you are taught very few things. You are not taught even to sleep. People think that they have only to lie down in their bed and then they sleep. But this is not true. One must learn how to sleep as one must learn to eat, learn to do anything at all. And if one does not learn, well, one does it badly. Or one takes years and years to learn how to do it, and during all those years, when it is badly done, all sorts of unpleasant things occur, and it is only after suffering much, making many mistakes, committing many stupidities, that gradually, when one is old and has white hair, one begins to know how to do something. But if when you were quite small, your parents or those who look after you took the trouble to teach you how to do what you do it properly as it should be done in the right way, then what would help you to avoid all these mistakes you make through the years? And not only do you make mistakes, but nobody tells you they are mistakes. I think we can take a pause here. Lot of stuff is said here, and I think, if I'm not wrong, Captain had shared this once. This before, I think a few months back, we had taken up this passage about where Mother is saying that we must learn how to do things right. So yes.
Good evening. In fact, when you were born, we are in the purest form, actually, the pure form. But anything we do is to be learned in the right way. So that we do not understand because we are always under care. But if we do it right way, so what is right way and what is wrong way, that is also to be known. And those who are lucky and those who get this correct way of doing the things or training, and then they reap the benefits of life, and they move in a particular way where the life is to be dedicated. So there are very, very few lucky ones available. And probably throughout our life, we do not understand actually whether we have done it in the right way or wrong. So that is why uh, during this Guru Purnima, so we think that some guru is required. One a real guru is required. Maybe the parents or who takes care from the beginning. Uh, so then probably will be guided in the proper fashion. So the mother tells us the right way of doing the things, the training. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, any other reflections on this?
I think this also relates with when mother talks about the purpose of human life. And if we see again and again, it comes with mothers and Sri Aurobindo's words that one must know why one is born. And we usually, as Captain was sharing, that we don't bother to talk about this unless we are, as mother is sharing, old enough, that why am I born at all? Is this just for eating, sleeping, having a family, settling down? Is that it? Yeah, that's it. And that's what we call as midlife crisis. Because until then, as what mother is sharing, that we commit mistakes, keep on committing mistakes, no correction is done. And then only after much suffering, we may have a dawning. That's also not really, it's not that it will happen in this lifetime. We may have a dawning that what's this happening? Why am I born? So mother and Sri Aurobindo share again and again, they realign us that why are we here at all? And they say that it's for the union with the divine. It's like a continuing union with the divine, which has to be performed, which nature is trying in all her attempts, through all the species and evolution. So if we reflect upon the word divine, we will see that mother says that divine, if you don't relate with, you use the word perfection. So what we were reading the passage, that how to do things correctly in the proper way, in a fine way, what we in a just a second. Sorry. So, mother says that moving toward perfection, and we see that there is no end to it. There is no end to moving towards perfection, the right way. Now, by default, there is wrong way, because the universe, the manifestation turns upside down, as goes in the mother story of creation. Light becomes darkness, bliss became suffering. So the journey is from wrong. And even if as a child I am born so called pure, relatively clean slate, yet there is a lot of, like a potly of samskaras that I begin to reveal, as I grow up. And then we see all the patterns that the parents are carrying, grandparents are carrying, they are seen in that child. Now is the moment to correct them, because so far nobody took attention, gave it attention. So now is the moment that looking, and mother says that this is our beauty, that we can look, oh, this is ugly in me. This capacity is there with human beings. That's why the perfection is possible, moving towards divine is possible. Because if this light of consciousness is not there, which can become self-aware, then how would I transform myself? So with this light of consciousness, if I see, no, something is wrong, maybe I can do it much better. as we do it in all the works. When we say art of even suffering, there is a art of suffering, art of living, art of movement, how you are walking. Mother says in one of the anecdotes that once she saw a lady walking, and she said that what an art, with an art she walked, like one could not take eyes off her, the way she was carrying herself. So this is an art also. So everywhere there is art. That's why we have artists, musicians, who are perfecting their art. And life itself is an art, as mother says, in sleep, in little things like, brushing, sleeping. Now sleeping is, again, it's very ignored, because the waking life is considered more important, कि पहले वो कर ले, वो कर ले, वो कर ले, वहां भाग लिया, वहां भाग लिया. Now you are so tired, you just want to lie on the bed and gone. Or maybe just lying down and thinking and ruminating and then gone. So I think this is again a discipline, as you were sharing, that everything has a discipline. So I see that when we are convinced that yes, I would like to now sleep properly, then if we center our mind before sleeping, as mother says that many ways are there. Mother talks about, one is reflecting over the whole day, what went wrong and where could you have done better. It's a quiet time for reflection. This is one way. Then other way, she says that lie on the bed like a towel, is lying. Now if a towel is not kept on the bed, then it's still. She's not using the word stone or rock, because that would be hard. So towel is very soft. So it's a relaxed stillness, very relaxed stillness. So you are completely relaxed in the body. The mind is home in the body, and it's absolutely still. There is stillness in the cells. And mother says, yeah, a rag. Yeah. Yes. So I rag a towel, I remember towel. So I don't know, somehow I use the word towel. So, and you become absolutely still. Mind is home, in centered. The consciousness is in gathered. You're not ruminating in throughout, what happened, what would happen tomorrow. You're not there anymore. And like this, she says, now you go to sleep. Then other way can be remembering divine's name, just centering yourself with the divine name and going to sleep like that. So, and we see the effects actually, that the dreams are less nightmarious, if that is a word. So we don't get much of, this subconscious turmoil is not there. And it's a very relaxed sleep where you, when get up, there is a refreshed mind that you have. It's not a mind which is like tired and I don't know if I slept or not. It's not like that. So yeah, sleep, again, sleep yoga is there. Tibetan sleep yoga is there. Nightmarish. Thank you, Purva. Yeah. So talking about sleep, we can go on and on. And yet these are the basic things which one can start from, just relaxing the mind, centering in gathering, and then going to sleep. And again, one has to get convinced, because old habits die hard. So usual is that I would just be so tired that I just want to now go to bed. That's usual. So if I want to make a discipline for even 2 minutes, I will have to put effort. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
It's very silly, but like when it's a rag and a towel, right? Towel seems to have a structure, right? It has a purpose, it has an identity, it's somebody's towel. The term rag is so much more, beautiful, that it's used and torn and can be any shape, and it probably has no purpose. It's just lying there. It's not even wanted, maybe, right? Like, just how has used this word, I find it very fascinating. It's just sitting, yeah. Pada hua hai. Yeah. So, when you were sharing and when we were reading this again, that quote, that an aimless life is a miserable life. Why don't we have perfections? Because we don't seek perfections, right? Like, it just, everything feels that this is fine. What is the need of, I don't know, I mean, how, why do we don't even think that this can be, there can be a better way of doing it, because what we usually have, what we usually do seems enough. Everybody around us seem to be following the same ways. And like you said, that how tired we are, that we just lie down and we are like gone. And that's considered rather healthy, right? That, oh wow, I was so, I had such a long, full day that I don't even know when I was gone. Again, the importance of, I mean, if you have a aim for perfection, then you have to see how's this happening? How do I do that? And you know how we kind of also have this bent on nature, right? This will naturally happen. If it's naturally happening, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. But here, when one says that, how, and if one does not learn well, one does it badly. There's no exception in general. Like, this is a basic statement. So it's the first time I read it, I was like, really? Because, we say that, oh, let nature take over. But is nature taking over? Because we are not learning from nature, right? We are learning from people who have themselves not learned from any place, and one must realize that and question the ways. This is very interesting that if one does not learn well, I mean, one does it badly, and it's mother saying this, so there's no hyperbole here.
I think वो जो आप nature की बात कर रहे हो ना, so since as you said the influence around us, है ना, the
Mm.
influence around us is that if we look at the proportion of human beings, and we would see that either we are more divine or more animalistic. So we would see that the natural influence which you were talking of, why, one of the reasons that mother says one does it badly, because naturally we are still living like animals. And that doesn't mean that it's not derogatory, it's that we can rise above this basic, just okay, gone and eating hungry, not even art of eating well, not even art of sleeping well, sitting well. So that art is a capacity of human beings, and maybe a few intelligent animals in which the mind is evolved enough. So yeah, it was coming to me that when we talk naturally, then why it happens naturally that we do it bad? First of all, that everything upturned into its opposite. So by nature, it's like opposite. It's darkness, it's wild, animal instincts. But if one has to, and that's why mother talks about aspiration or will or effort, and they are the cornerstones of the spiritual path. Because if there is no aspiration, no will, no effort, then there is no chance for me to unite uh, without suffering much. I'll still unite, but the suffering would be great. Yeah. And that too after a long, long like detours, as mother shares in her diagram, left, right, left, right, left, right. इधर से पिटे, उधर से पिटे, इधर से पिटे, उधर से पिटे, and then you go. So बिना पिटाई के भी possible है this walk towards perfection. Yes, and as mother shares that progress brings joy. And we see that, like you were sharing that, when making a CV, so if I have to do it from 2 page to 1 page, so you see that, oh my god, I am now able to make it so crisp. So it brings us joy and elevation inside. So anything that we transcend in ourselves and make it perfect, that brings us joy. Even for once. So I may be, one night I'm able to center my mind and sleep consciously. And that brings me joy, that at least once I was able to do it nicely. Or cooking, for those who may not know cooking and now they see the wow, it's becoming effortless. So again, joy. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I remember the first time I met Acharya Prashant. I was probably using the word, naturally happens. It naturally I get it, and he stopped me right there, and he was like, first of all, nothing is naturally happening. these are your patterns that you have picked up right from here and there. And secondly, he just, got very silent and he said, are you just nature? Right? You are not. You are more than the natural instincts. You're more than the natural. I mean, you have the capacity to be more. So don't let natural happening, this thing, let you become weak, right? That's what we do. Okay, what do I do? That's how it happens. Like, how do I concentrate when as soon as I lie down, I fall asleep, right? These are the, I don't know, tark to nahi bolenge, vitark hi bolenge, right? Kutark. Like these are the excuses that we give ourselves, right? That how do I do this when, yeah, and yet when you start seeing the importance of these two, I mean, you do start appreciating that more and more. Again, suffering, like we share so often that how important it is. So once we start having issues with sleeping, eating, or other things, then it is that we have to pay attention. I don't know why this white hair, because these days white hair comes really early and one doesn't learn
Maybe
much.
mother knew already that you would be reading it one day, so.
Yes. And this, I don't know, appears a bit sad to me. And I mean, again, compassion arises for myself and others, that how does one who doesn't know himself teach others, right? That when you were quite small, your parents or those who looked after you took the trouble to teach you how to do what you do. So for that, one needs to know it oneself. And yeah, and this is the best, that not only do you make mistakes, but nobody tells you. I think that's what we were discussing, that we don't, I mean, that's the biggest thing here, right? That we don't even realize that there's a better way. We don't even realize it's a mistake. But when you know, you know. So I think moving on from
I
when we
think
didn't know.
this line is very important because I feel that as parents, one or as adults, I think children, if we see, if they are learning, then they know that, okay, something happened and now I have to correct it. So they are corrective in nature. But when they look at us adults, we are somehow conditioned in such a bad way that we don't want to admit our errors and mistakes. So, as parents, it appears to the child that how is it possible that whatever this guy does, he never owns up to any mistakes. So then slowly the child also becomes very defensive, that no, 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 I did not do any mistake. So there is a wrong perception, I feel, about mistakes. They are taken in a wrong way, that as if you are inferior if you are making mistakes, or if you are accepting that you made a mistake, you are somebody lowly, lowly creature. How dare you commit this mistake? So I feel this uh, the idea around mistake has to be very like genuine. Okay, I did make a mistake, and let me correct it. So I think as adults, as parents, we have to say sorry a number of times, recognizing those mistakes, that sorry, I think I could have done better here, so that the child slowly also learns that, oh, it's okay to say sorry and it's okay to make mistakes, and because we learn from them, है ना, तो हम खुद ही इतने डिफेंसिव होते हैं वॉल की तरह, that the child also he doesn't even recognize that it's a mistake and it has to be corrected. Because as a parent, I never myself was moving towards perfection. I myself was involved in my own rigidities. तो बच्चे को क्या सिखाएंगे? And not for him to learn, मतलब वो तो हमारे लिए ही अच्छा है ना, because when we are progressive, then we are joyful. Oh, I committed a mistake, so we are on the same ground as the child. So I can commit a mistake. Yes, you can also commit a mistake, but we learn from it. So we don't then have to hide our mistakes. So this, I think, clarity around making mistakes and learning from it, and not making it a big deal if I make a mistake. Oh, I did, and let me learn from it. Next time I'll do better.
So, Monica, just now we
Yeah.
were mentioning about, telling, pointing out the mistakes. So, those children, when they grow up, become adults, they get offended if you say, I didn't do any mistake. How can I do? Even if it is so, let it be. So what? Because, at home, we see so many people, even we might also behave that way. But, that feeling of offending comes. How can you tell me that I made a mistake? So this ego comes, as Taru was sharing. We ourselves do not know how to do perfectly, so we are not able to teach our children. Then the children become adults. They also, they carry forward what we are doing. So this is a beautiful uh, you know, point for us to consider. Even at this age, we can correct. There is nothing wrong in it.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. As mother
Thank
shares, it's never too late and it's
you.
never too early. We are already late, वैसे. Yeah. Or maybe she says it's always too late. I don't know. I can't recollect it nicely. Yeah.
I wanted to say something.
Yes, please.
So I'm still stuck on this bit where you guys talked about nature and how nature is. If things are left to nature to naturally being done, then they inevitably lead to some kind of a mess. And so I was wondering that, like, I have a little different take on that. To me, it seems as if they human beings did not arrive on the scene. Like we are the last ones to arrive, with all due respect. Till we had not arrived, it seemed that everything was going pretty well. And to me, the way I see it as that as human beings, we accuse nature of being wrong or bobbed or twisted. Maybe because it is only human beings who have the element of, uh, who have the most evolved psychic spark, as Madan Shobindu would say. So we can see the folly in nature, but to say that if things are done naturally, then they are inevitably going to lead one astray or something, I feel it is being a bit too uncharitable to nature. I guess what I'm trying to say is that we project our own warpness and perversity onto nature, and then we justify it by saying that nature has tamas and nature has violence and nature has all that stuff. Whereas still we had arrived on the scene, nature was doing pretty well because animals don't commit suicide, animals don't unnecessarily blast other animals, animals don't have religion, plants don't, like all these life forms aren't really violent for the fun of being violent, which human beings are.
Yes, Purva, thank you. There's some issue with the audio, though it's not very clear, but still we could understand what you were sharing. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure people would have more comments and reflection, but just since I'm unmuted, I'll share my take on this. Like, first of all, we're talking about what's happening right now, right? Like, what is practically happening, the lives that we are living right now. So, not blaming nature. Na- we also are part of nature, right? We have made the nature. When we are talking about our habits, are not needing to be perfect. That's our collective, also, right? The human collective that is leading to this or that. So, not accusing anything, and yet nature through nature, because you know how we study that, like how Monica was sharing, that how things got converted. So the slippery slope for us is laziness, is tamas, is to just do whatever one has been doing forever and ever, just to seek comfort. over, perfection, because it just feels easier. And it's a fact of our existence these days. Like, at least I can talk about myself. Everybody is different. That the natural instinct is to be comfortable, is to seek, the path of least resistance everywhere, knowing that resistance is what gives me, makes me who I am and makes me better. Yet, the natural instinct it feels is not to have challenges, is not to move myself too much. So, just acknowledging that as a fact and then taking the step from there, right? Even the age thing, sometimes I feel that we don't even need to say this or feel this at all, right? Like, कर तो लिया, अब तो करा, the important thing is कि okay, now I have understood, now I'll do it. But lot of times we get, just we get sidetracked with these, oh, I took too long, oh, my hair is white, oh, and then again the main essence is lost. That okay, what were we talking about? That I don't remember, but somehow I remember the side comments about, things. So just to, and that's my fact, not a good fact, but that's my fact, what to do about it. So yeah, just saying that that's how it is right now for me. If it is like that, maybe for you it isn't, just saying that. Yeah, please.
As you were sharing, so I think let us go over the story of uh, how evolution takes place again, because it's good to understand what are we saying when we are using the word nature, है ना? तो उसको again, as you were explaining, that it's not in a derogatory sense. ये क्या किया? Feels weird.
Oh, I thought you were going through the story of creation, so it would be good
Yeah,
to,
I was going, but
no?
this, yeah, it's okay. So,
Mm.
yes, not story of creation. I wanted to say that how mother shares that how this, this consciousness evolves from a stone to. Taru, can you unpin this? कुछ हो गया ये. It's like view
Already
gallery.
unpinned
मैं
it.
कर,
I said,
अच्छा मैं अपने लिए कर लेती हूँ. मेरे
sorry
लिए
for,
गड़बड़.
yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, yeah. It's okay. So she shares that how we start the journey. First, stones as stones, minerals. That is how the consciousness involuted in matter, and it became absolutely dark. So if you look at a stone, it's hard to say that it's alive. That it has consciousness. It got masked completely. The psychic presence that Pura was talking about. Now slowly it changed into, for example, forms like a plant, a sapling. It's a softer form than a stone. So through evolution, stone became plant. Huh? There were intermediary forms also. Now the consciousness is evolving in a way that the matter is becoming like apparent that, oh, there is some life in there. So in plant we see that yes, there is life. We can say that there is consciousness there, some kind of palpability, sensitivity there. Then it became animals, insects, birds, reptiles, all the intermediary, stage. Now we became chimpanzees, for example. Okay, now again, mind is developing, instincts are developing. Now I will stop here, pause here on chimpanzees, because the research that Jane Goodall, for example, did on chimpanzees about animal nature. Okay, now Pura was sharing that animals are very genuine and they are very good, very innocent. Usually they are, but as the mind develops, it also complicate affairs. So she saw that we would think that animals are very natural and they are harmonious and they are not fighting with each other. But she saw that they also become jealous, they have depression, they have anger. So all the complexity of mind, which is actually an evolution of nature, it is also having its disadvantages. And this is what we call as animal instincts. These even jealousy, anger, hate. This was all she could see in chimpanzees. So far we could see, as Pura was sharing, that only human beings pervert, but it started from a complex mind. Now it is a byproduct of a complex mind that we are here and have a world which is like this. But Mother and Sri Aurobindo say that human beings are not the last species on earth. So we still have to grow. Now this complex mind that we have, it has its advantages. What we have done, we've created like buildings 300 floors high, and all the advantages of technicalities that we have done. Aeroplanes are there, jets are there which can reach you from here to there in no moment. Probes are there which are going to planets and sun. So it's a complex mind. It has its advantages, but it also has its disadvantages, which is these disturbing emotions of jealousy, wars, how we create wars, being complexed in our egos. So now this is not the last thing for us on earth. This also has to change. It was just a developmental stage. So this is how nature is progressing. So when we talk that by default we will fall into this trap like animal instincts, why we say that at this stage of evolution, that is where we are, but that's not where we have to be forever. We have to progress. Like from chimpanzees, humans came much sensitive, although much perverted also, but much sensitive. You were sharing that, Purva, you were sharing psychic powers. Yes, they are there, but again, perversion is also there. Of all kind of perversions are there, right? So this, now they say that we have to let go of this animalistic side of us coming from chimpanzees, for example. We are evolving. Now we have to let go of this animalistic side, and we have to turn each thought, each feeling, each sensation to purity and perfection. उसमें effort चाहिए होता है. हाँ,
Is my voice better?
हाँ, बताइए.
I was just saying about this researcher. Is my voice better though? Is it breaking again?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you properly.
Yeah. I think my voice is not that good.
अब ठीक है, अब बोलो.
अभी clear है?
हाँ, clear है, बोलो.
अच्छा, I was saying कि this researcher जो आप कह रहे थे कि जिसने chimpanzees में depression and jealousy देखा. Now I don't know if उसने सच में देखा या फिर project किया, because these things are very complicated. It reminded me of this whole paradigm which has been criticized by the people of the native culture, because for the longest time, for 100 years, 150 years, the white man suffered from the white man burden, where he wanted to civilize the whole world, and he saw problems in all the so-called primitive people. But now when the primitive people are again revisiting their history and are now seeing things from their own perspective, then the white man realizes, oh, actually I have misunderstood a lot of things. So it is happening to the native people in America and in Australia and everywhere. So this interesting research that chimpanzees experience depression and jealousy. I wonder if it is the chimpanzees or the guy who was projecting it onto them.
Yeah. So you read about it. She was there in the forests living with chimpanzees for many, many years. So her books are available. Her name I'll type in the chat window. Read about her and see how genuine you feel it is. And also remarking about Red Indians, for example, or tribals. So there also we see that they have a way of life. They have a perfection in life. So when we are using the word perfecting, it's not that we are educating ourselves. That's not is perfecting, like in the sense that education is right now. अब आप रेड इंडियंस का देखोगे, अमेरिकन्स, रेड नेटिव इंडियन अमेरिकन्स जो भी हम बात करते हैं, यू विल सी दैट दे हैव वेरी वेरी like precise lines on which they go. So they develop their intuitive powers. There is a way in which they are doing it. So they are putting effort. They are rearing up their children in that kind of stream. So jo mother keh rahi hai that if you don't know how to do it, then nobody tells you and you are lost. So they teach in a way that having faith, for example, in the universe, that comes naturally to them. We can say that it comes naturally, but they actually are putting effort over there. If you see what they say is, they call, okay, universe, I want this. and now they are content. If it has to come, it will come. If it doesn't come, then it was not meant for me. Now this is being cultivated ना, यहाँ पे कल्टीवेशन हो रही है, तो हम इसको ये नहीं कह सकते सिर्फ दूर से देख के कि इट इज कमिंग नेचुरली, एज यू वर शेयरिंग दैट दे आर मोर, I would say, more genuine and, sensitive and more divine in one way, than us civilized beings, so called, who have actually turned opposite, in many ways. So yeah, again, as you said, that again, vast field, and we can go on and on talking about these examples, but good to touch upon them. So yeah, thank you for bringing this up.
Yeah, anybody, any comments, anything on what we have read or what Purva was bringing up for discussion? This war among chimpanzees, Monica, the other day I was just reading an article on things you will be shocked to know. Like, the things that have happened over history. There also I found a mention of this. I think the war lasted for maybe 2 years or something, 2 to 4 years. So it had mentioned that there was this war among the chimpanzees in which one tribe was very brutally just, you know, yeah, so it was pretty
Yeah.
strange to read.
And he also said that it's like as if it just devastated their community, that
Yeah,
war.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And the length and the persistence was mentioned in that. Yeah. So I think moving on, if anybody would like to read, they can unmute and read the next para.
One thing which I got just reminded of, that in, for example, in schools, while little children are learning how to, say, do the things nicely, slowly, I think I also see that they're also in schools which are sensitive about this issue. Like, look at it. How have you written, for example? क्योंकि हमारे पास we have this light of consciousness which can notice what is ugly, what is not, that beautiful. So look at it. Okay, this page or that page, which one is looking better? So this art of looking at our own creations or thoughts or speech or whatever, and making the distinction with our viveka or discernment, that okay, which one is better, that also it keeps the psychic in front. And that's why as adults we also feel that we become very dull, monotonous, and the psychic goes back, it like remains masked. So if we put this light of consciousness in our day to day issues, and in every thought, in every feeling, action, word that we speak out, and mother has a full, science of speech, for example, the art of speech, that we have to be carefully choosing our words. Okay, which one is beautiful? Is this leading to any good? Is this leading to any betterment? Only those we should use. Thoughts, feelings. So become conscious of it, mother says, and then again go towards more beauty, more harmony. So again comes in this line of, perfection and perfecting ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an excellent, excellent point. And when Radha was sharing about, how as even adults we are get so offensive, lot of us about mujhe kaise bol diya, right? How could somebody point some mistake at me? And then, even in movies they show that there's a small child who, when he says, then that person listens and all that, how the drama of it happens. But if we're just honest, a lot of discussions don't need to happen, right? We can just feel it. We just know that, is this the best? And the answer is no. But then that requires honesty, sincerity, effort, will, right? Transparency, which most of us don't have. So when I look at my natural instincts, which I say that, my natural instincts, where are they leading me? Lot of times not to good places, right? Like, because usually ego lives through me on these natural instincts. So Again, not maybe questioning, but just being honest about the facts of my life will show me that, right?
I remember one anecdote. So I usually talk about my mistakes, with children also. So I remember that one of the major episode that had happened, and I had shared it again and again with my kids, referring back to it, that if we are with bad thoughts in our head, then the universe shows us that, oh, you have to get corrected. So I remember that once I had given 2 glasses of juice to my 2 kids long back, and I was in the bathroom having a shower, and I had given this responsibility that finish this juice or drink. Why? Because I had prepared it with lots of mehnat, lots of effort. So one guy hadn't finished it off, and I was really angry at him, like, how dare you not finish something prepared with so much of effort. And I remember running towards him in order to shout at him and make him show him that this is not right, and I slipped. So immediately I told them that time also, and again I refer back to it, that look, I was coming with a bad intention, and the universe told me that correct your intention. And they also laugh about it, and it's also to make me realize that yes, I committed a mistake, and the universe does give me an idea that correct, correct your way. So I think वही जो honesty की आप बात कर रहे थे ना, being honest and sincere, even with, doesn't matter who it is, children or adults, that keeps us very unmanipulative, non-manipulative and simple. गलती हुई है, सीखेंगे, simple, very simple. Yeah.
Beautiful, Monica. Beautiful example.
My ass did hurt very badly. That's what they laugh about every time. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
This also shows a lot about where one is, because if say I'm going to scold my child and I slip, I would feel further insulted and kind of frustrated that I might just hit him next. That just out of the sheer frustration that, oh my God, see how unkindness is happening to me, right? Like, to see the wake up call as a wake up call is also so much grace and blessing.
As mother shares that don't take yourself too seriously. I think that really helps, because mother shares that human beings are most miserable because they are the ones taking themselves too seriously. So, and you also have shared many, many anecdotes where in the middle of things, you were able to just laugh at it, for example, and it just, you can shake it off your shoulders and gone, then you move on. So it's really, yes, grace.
So I'll just read the next one. And not only do you make mistakes, but nobody tells you they are mistakes. And so you are surprised that you fall ill, are tired, don't know how to do what you want to, and that you have never been taught. Some children are not taught anything, and so they need years and years and years to learn the simplest things, even the most elementary things, to be clean. To live in the right way is very difficult art. And unless one learns to learn it, one begins to learn it when quite young, and to make an effort, one knows it very well. Simply the art of keeping one's body in good health, one's mind quiet, and goodwill in one's heart, things which are indispensable in order to live decently. I don't say in comfort, I don't say remarkably, I only say decently. Well, I don't think there are many who take care to teach this to their child. She's saying three things: the art of keeping one's body in good health, one's mind quiet, and goodwill in one's heart. So simple, like it feels that it should be obvious and naturally happening. So
I
that's
think
the end of
this
this.
is very
Yeah.
important. You've just highlighted and as Jetsunma Tenzing Palmo also shares that okay, don't bother about getting enlightened. As long as you are on the path, just have a good heart, keep your take care of the mind. So she also stresses upon these aspects. And as I think mother also, since she had a Buddhist background also, so this resonates very strongly. And again, if all of us, as even as adults, we realize that to keep one's mind quiet, how much effort it takes. It doesn't come naturally that the mind is quiet. And again, to keep one's body in good health, otherwise we are so lazy, we don't walk, we don't do our regular movements, cleaning ourselves, brushing and all that. So if all of that is taken care of consciously, so then we have a proper instrument which can work for the divine. And goodwill in one's heart, again, ill will is going on by default. It's like negative patterns, vicious loops in the mind, all of us are aware. Whenever our child has gone outside, what comes first? Oh, he may hurt himself. That is the natural thing that comes. Why doesn't it come that no, he will be fine, the divine is taking care, the mother is taking care? This doesn't come naturally. It may come naturally, but only to those people on whom some work has been done, either through their ancestors, parents, or some work is there so that their faith is very solid. They know that yes, my child will be fine. Even if he falls, he will be fine. So that faith, solid faith, is there. But to most of us, it's not there. We are full of doubts, full of confusion, and full of a kind of a trust in a universe which will always harm me and my family. That comes very naturally. Again, ill will. If somebody has success, or a relative has more success, the first thing that comes is, why don't I have it? We may not admit it, but it does come that, oh, that happened with him, but why not with me? So I am the one who is not having that goodness. Instead of that, again, Jetsunma Tenzing Palmo shares, begin to rejoice in others' happiness. So if you see someone happy and elated and success, so wow, how beautiful that this is happening for him. So this again has to be practiced. It doesn't come naturally. Yeah, very important 3 points.
Sham, did you unmute? I'm not sure. I thought I saw you unmute, but
Yeah, in the Indian scheme of things, we don't ask the question that what's your template to be happy, to be joyous, to be successful. We don't ask this question very often. We just go on getting green with jealousy in most of the times. Again, this is my way of thinking. I may be wrong.
could you? We don't have a template. Could you just? I'm
So
not sure.
like in the Western world, when someone has succeeded or reached to a particular level, they would always ask that what's the template for you getting success in this chosen walk of life. But in India, we don't ask this question. We often go green with envy and jealousy and all those things like that. Again, I may be wrong. This is my way of thinking.
I think jealousy and envy is not very peculiarly Indian. It's as we saw that it was there even in chimpanzees. It's coming from our animal nature as well, plus a byproduct of human complex mind. Where all it can go. And again, referring back to that story that we were sharing, that everything turned its opposite. So love turned into kind of hate. So ill will, goodwill turned into ill will. And that's why we are having this journey, because of this adventure. Because whenever I am able to transmute any ill will to goodwill, there is a joy that we feel within, that, oh, I transcended something, in my being. That's the journey, that's the adventure. So, and I personally don't feel that this is any peculiarly Indian jealousy or envy. It is human, but it's not supposed to be human. It's actually coming from our animal instincts. Yeah. And that's why they are called disturbing emotions, because they are not natural to us. If we, since we were talking about what is natural, our easy joyous state of being is natural to us. Satchidananda is where we come from, that is our root. But jealousy is not our root. Envy, ambition, pride, lust, they all make us uneasy. Why? Because they are not our root. We are not originating from that. We are originating from delight and joy. Satchidananda is where we are originating from. And that's why in everything we are looking for that joy. Why do I want this relationship? Because I think it will bring me joy. Why do I want to, change my job? Because this one is not giving me joy, the next one will. So we are looking for that joy, which is our essence and root, in the external things, since we don't know how to turn within and find that joy.
I don't know in which context he says that in the West, they ask you for a template. But I also kind of second it in the sense that I think in India especially, we wrap spirituality on ourselves a bit too prematurely, and because we have this whole centuries and centuries of almost spirituality has become now morality, that it is good to have all this, you should be all this, you should be all this. But in the West, I think they are much more honest. And so in that respect, I also believe that there is much less hypocrisy in that sense. Because if you really want something, you say it. If you're really jealous, you just say it.
Have you lived in the West, Purva?
No.
Okay.
Somehow I would want to say that it's not okay. Like when we are discussing this, I'm not feeling fine, like generalizing East, West. And, it's like somehow it also appears to be mind's tricks, right? Like taking the attention away from myself and just commenting on cultures or societies, talking about myself and talking about small things of every day, not talking about big things that, okay, somebody got a big house, what am I feeling? In my everyday, when I wake up to it, I see these small ill wills. I see this, okay, something good happened. I'm like, oh, I wish I did have that. Smallest things. Like, I don't know, better looking cupcake. Oh, the other person got it. The bigger gift when we were, I don't know, if one is entering some regular gaming zone, that, okay, oh, that was the last piece that that person picked up. Those small things that my identification with myself is so rigid that if I am benefiting, I am like this. And if somebody else, who I call somebody else, they are getting it, I don't feel happy about that unless I look at the fact that I don't feel happy about this. And then suddenly happiness comes. That, okay, if one becomes Buddha, either I can be jealous, again, going for a big thing, that, oh my God, he could do it, I can't. Or I could be really happy that because he could do it, I can too do it. So I think very important to not get lost in the big or here and there, just focusing on the everyday, on myself. That will help us. The other things would just be reasons for debates and agreements or not, but what's happening inside me, that can get lost.
Absolutely. Yes. And also, this natural, want of, there is a perfect world somewhere out there. Where is this coming from? Because we all, as I remember, listening to what Purva just shared, I remember when I was exploring and still exploring, but when traveling more, during my teenage time and uh, after college, going to universities here and there, actually it does appear, that, there must be, I remember this thing about science. And so I am in a scientific institute in India. And what am I thinking? In the West, they do better science. No, so when we have this idea, we must go out and explore. यहाँ पे बैठे बैठे ख्याल नहीं बनाना चाहिए. तो अभी आप, you have not been to the West, as I asked you. You said you have not been to the West. Okay, go to the West. अगर है दिमाग में तो उसको पूरा करो. So what I did, I thought that okay, यहाँ बेकार साइंस होती है इंडिया में. Again, we perceptions we make. वहाँ बहुत अच्छी साइंस होती है. मुझे देखना है वो कैसे साइंस करते हैं. So what I did, okay, I want to explore. How is it that they do better science than us, if that's true? And I did all my effort, put effort into universities, got through, went, now years after my own exploration, I realized that no, that's not true. Now at that point of time, nobody could have convinced me कि तू मत जा, यहीं पे ठीक है, वहां जाने से तेरे को कुछ नहीं मिलेगा. तो मुझे लगता है कि अगर मेरे को ये इच्छा आ रही है जानने की, तो हमको खुद अपने आप जाके चेक करना चाहिए, एफर्ट करना चाहिए. ये नहीं कि अपने मन में वो जो आप कह रहे हो ना, वी गेट लॉस्ट, इधर उधर ध्यान बिल्कुल भटक जाता है. बैठे बैठे अगर ख्याली पुलाव बनाते रहो ना, डिबेट एंड इंटेलेक्चुअलाइज करते रहो, उसकी जगह मेक एफर्ट, गो आउट, check for yourself, that okay, is that true what I am thinking? In the West people are like that, or jealousy or ambition जिसकी भी हम बात कर रहे थे, the templates that we were talking of, is that true? Check it out. So again, as mother shares, that don't be too sure of your thoughts. Check them out as a curious scientist at every step. Is that true? Is that true? Before that, we should not be buying into them very strongly. And exploration helps. So as Kabir ji says, दौड़त दौड़त दौड़िया, जहां लगी मन की दौड़, दौड़ थके मन स्थिर भया. तो मन स्थिर आपका तब तक नहीं होगा जब तक आप अपना जहां जहां आपको लगता है वहां परफेक्शन है, वहां परफेक्शन है, वहां परफेक्शन है, हर जगह भाग लो. कोई भी इच्छा आपकी ये ना रहे कि अब मैं बचाए कुछ. अब जब आप वापस अपने अंदर आते हो, व्हाट तरु वाज शेयरिंग, दैट ऑल दिस वी हैव टू फाइंड विद इन, दिस परफेक्शन हैज टू बी फाउंड विद इन, एंड देन वी कैन एक्सटेंड दिस परफेक्शन इन द आउटसाइड वर्ल्ड, फाइंडिंग इट विद इन. बट द इनिशियल सर्च इज वहां मिलेगा, वहां मिलेगा, वहां मिलेगा. तो अच्छा मिलेगा ना, जाओ ले लो. तो वो ढूंढ बहुत जरूरी है. वो जो दौड़ना, जो पहली लाइन में कबीर जी कह रहे हैं कि दौड़ो, वो दौड़ना बहुत जरूरी है. बैठे बैठे हमें ख्याल नहीं बनाने चाहिए, और ख्याल आ भी गया तो उस ख्याल पे काम करना चाहिए, एफर्ट करना चाहिए, एक्सप्लोर करना चाहिए, सो दैट दौड़ थके मन स्थिर भया. तो हो भी सकता है कि भाई कबीर गलत कह गए कि दौड़ के थक जाओगे. क्या पता मुझे दौड़ने से थकावट नहीं हो, मैं आई एंजॉय दौड़ना एंड आई फाइंड दैट परफेक्शन समवेयर आउट देयर, है ना. हो सकता है कबीर, देन आई प्रूव, मे बी आई राइट अ पेपर ऑन इट दैट कबीर इज रॉन्ग, है ना. हु नोज व्हाट वी फाइंड इन अवर एक्सप्लोरेशन. सो वी मस्ट एक्सप्लोर. जस्ट वांटेड टू शेयर दैट exploration is necessary.
Oh, yes, anything one can please unmute and share. And now that that passage is over, it took in almost an hour, more than an hour. If there were any personal sharings, reflections, one, if you've got anything to share today, we'll take up before we end the session.
One more thing on this, that as mother shares, that in our ignorance of our psychic being, the psychic being evolves through experiences. So as they say, desire is the helper, desire is the bar. Now why is desire a helper? when I am unconscious of my psychic being, when I don't know what my true purpose is there for life, then there is a desire that comes. It comes, it tells me, go there. There you will find it. So I get, a movement in my being. There is a stir, there is an attraction, glitter is there towards the world. So the being moves from tamas, from inertia, that rather than not attempting anything, because of a desire, I attempt something. I go out and seek something. So mother says that this is not a stupid experience that we are having. It's a very, very relevant experience. And through the experiences of our life, which appear like blind movements, which appear like I'm just unconsciously wandering, kabhi this way, kabhi that way, I'm just wandering around. But these appear to be unconscious movements, but they are not. Through that, the psychic being is ripening, it's maturing, it's having all the impressions, and then after a few years, like, it has the power now to come to forefront and take the seat consciously, that now I don't have to wander that much. Now there is a knowing that comes, and I follow that knowing. Now the desire is not necessary. Desire is the helper, desire is the bar. Now I live on the knowing, intuitive knowing. Earlier I needed a desire in order to move me. So this is how the Purusha takes a back seat, the psychic being takes a back seat, and yet it is running the show from behind the veils through my desires. So that's why desires in early stages of our life, which may run a long time, are important in that sense, because they give us experiences, and through my experiences I ripen, mature, in become an individuality.
I think this realization that mind has its limits, right? It's also a tool to reach somewhere. And again, even for mind, one can say, right? Mind is the helper and mind is the bar. Yeah. Um, so should we end here? Or
Yeah, if there is nothing.
Yeah. Yes.
oh, I thought Captain is sharing something. Okay, thank you so
Okay.
much for joining
Okay.
us. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
okay. Yeah, Meera, you wanted to share anything or just
Yeah, I read something beautiful, but it's a little long. So unless I can probably read it the next time.
no? Why don't you? We need something beautiful right
Okay.
now.
Okay. This
Should I
is from
pull it up? It's from in. Will it be in the
um,
incarnate world?
you can try. Yeah, it's from a mailer from Sherbindo Society. I think the first part will definitely be there, but
Okay.
the more beautiful, I mean, as much as what it was the commentary beneath. So,
Mm-hmm.
if you observe yourself attentively, was what it is.
Is this it? You
You
will
will
see that
perceive that you think.
if you
Yeah,
could,
this one.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, here.
Yes. So, if you observe yourself attentively, you will perceive that you think, feel, experience, and construct like a human animal. That is, like an infractional being who is three-fourths subconscious through almost the whole of your day. It is possible that at certain moments you escape from this, but you still need an effort to escape from it. It may happen spontaneously as by grace at certain moments, but most of the time you have to make an effort to be able to catch something which is not purely this. At any time, whatever of your day, if you take a small step backwards and observe yourself, you will catch yourself. You will see that when is it that suddenly you see, if I said all of a sudden, here, now, look at yourself like that without a warning, without warning you beforehand, what was it there in the field of your consciousness? If you catch that, you will see certainly at least in 99 out of 100, it is the animal that's there. An animal which is a little improved, not altogether a dog, not altogether a monkey, but still very far from that. There are many things which men have transformed into marvelous virtues, which I have found in animals as spontaneous movements. And at least they have the advantage of not being proud and not having any vanity. They did things spontaneously, which surely were very remarkable. Very remarkable in devotion, abnegation, foresight, educative sense. They did them spontaneously and without writing books on them and boasting about them as something marvelous. Therefore, much is needed to come out of the animal, much more than one would think. And the second part wouldn't be there, so I'll just read it out from here. So this is a commentary. Let me try to illustrate it with a concrete material example. There is someone who lives in a small room in the corner of the top floor of a multi-storied building. In this room, he lives in air-conditioned comfort, pursuing art, poetry, meditation, prayer, studies, and nice relationship with visiting friends. But in the other floor below, a group of thieves are plotting to rob a bank. In the third floor, a group of students having a drunken brawl. In the first floor, in a dark dungeon used as a storeroom, rats, snakes, and scorpions are running all around. The underground cellar of the building is a haunted domain with ghosts and goblins prowling around. But this nice, wise, refined, and cultured gentleman in a small room at the top is not at all aware of any of these things happening in other part of the building. This may be the inner condition in most of us, including many of the elites of humanity, like the artist, scholar, poet, thinker, or a novice in the spiritual path, living in some kind of a pleasant delusion, in a small bright spot in the top layers of our mind, but unaware of what is happening in the rest of our being. As Mother said in one of her conversations, that when you become more and more conscious, you will be amazed at the immense amount of negativity lying hidden in your lower vital, physical, and subconscious part of your nature. Similarly, Sri Aurobindo says, the lower vital in most human beings is full of grave defects and of movements that respond to hostile forces. And in all, it is the lower vital that is most of ignorance and desire and therefore of falsehood. Yeah, so I found that illustration like extremely apt and it was really funny to read, but that is precisely how it is.
Yeah, that was very powerful, yes. And also very much what we were talking about, the animal and yeah.
Yes, oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
It's always, happens in certain way. This, as Sri Aurobindo says, there's nothing by chance. So, yes.
Whenever we hear these things about, okay, this is what A is doing, B is doing, C is doing, somehow there's a tendency to say, okay, where am I? Again and again, you are being told that all of that is you, all of that is you. And I think it's a very important message in groundedness, humbleness, and again, so that we can make an effort because pata hi nahi hai, it's there, right? Though, how do you do it? So when you accept, yeah, that too is me. Like the person who's shouting in front of me and losing it, and I'm feeling that what is he doing? That person too lives in me is, that really has the power of I don't know that, you know, that dotted वाले उसमें वो भी add करता है, right? कि you see that कि yes, this is me too, so I have to work on it. I have to do this for myself as well as for the other. So yeah, thank you so much, Meera, for sharing.
Like what the mother says, anything which irritates you about the other, be sure it exists in you, which is the most fundamental truth of psychology as well. And that is what makes human beings a very weird creature, because the fact is that whatever we see outside, whatever, from the divine to the slimiest snake, most poisonous viper, everything is our own projection. We are everything. So it's a very overwhelming thing.
I think that's where it comes when mother would say that, I see your deepest aspiration. And we see that if slowly we begin to change our own selves, and all the times we are not just cribbing about what's wrong there out there, since we know how wrong is in there also, then we actually begin to see the beauty in others also. That, where is this, what is the deep aspiration of this person, where is this coming from? So that beauty we begin to see, if we slowly become grounded, looking at our own defects, that we are all at the same ground, there is nobody higher, superior. It's like, as Kabir ji would say, बुरा जो देखन मैं चला बुरा ना मिलिया कोई, जो मन खोजा आप आपना मुझसे बुरा ना कोई. So all that lies in me, as Purva was sharing also, that whatever shocks in other person, some mother says in greater or lesser degree, it is there in me also. So that becomes the ground for empathy and compassion also. That if I can rise above my wrongs, you also have the power to rise above your wrongs. So then no need to create enemies, and this is my friend, that is my enemy. Likes and dislikes. Yeah.
I was just, reading this before the session, and I think it's just want to share before ending. So the real difficulty is always in ourselves, not in our surroundings. Shri Aurobindo. Yeah, so thank you. I think we'll call it a session, and have a good Friday, good weekend, good week. Happy practicing and watching, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.